to bring in weird and wacky, wonderful picks. I think that's a great thing to potentially look forward to as we are going to hop into pick ban for game number 1.
All right, get ready to. You might lose me here, Valdez.
All right.
So, Lucian gonna be banned first by T1. SANDBOX following this up with LeBlanc. Akali now gonna be banned by T1. Aurelia likewise responded with SANDBOX, and now Rek'Sai is gonna be the final ban. This is actually going really quick. They seem to have a pretty strong idea of what they want to do. And now T1, it's their last champion to ban away. We'll see if it ends up being Syndra, Misfortune, anything of that sort. Instead, it's actually going to be Lee Sin.
Oh, LS banned here.
Yeah.
In the 3rd pick, so they're going to just lock in that MF, you'd have to imagine.
And so MF being hovered does end up getting locked in here. And now it's going to be on T1 to respond. They're hovering Gragas. And this is a champion that has ability to be dual flexed. Nunu being hovered.
It's got to be Nunu.
Maybe someone ran it down recently and they're just reminding them what ended up happening. But Gragas will be locked in. Now that could just be for Cuz. T1 responding with Xayah. So not really giving away too much. The Gragas able to be flexed 2 rolls, potentially 3 top, but very unlikely. Xayah extremely safe, and now they're just waiting for SANDBOX to reveal more information about their draft before they select anything.
Good old Rumble making his way back. We've been seeing an incredible amount of Rumble. Not sure exactly why. He does seem to be pretty good in some of the games that we have been seeing. He can be flexed. Again, these players love their flex picks, so bringing him out, he's another one that could even potentially be flexed into the jungle. We've seen that before, but most likely not going to happen here.
Well, I'm going to see what they end up pairing it with. It's going to be the Nautilus. So extremely massive amounts of engage and aggression on the SANDBOX team composition right now, and T1 going to have to decide what they want to do. They're going to pick the Rakan, so they're going to counter themselves down in bot lane just to have access to the Xayah Rakan, which is an interesting interesting choice here.
So much for those new support picks. Not going to happen here in this game. As, I mentioned on Twitter Braum, Nautilus, and Tom Kench. At least we didn't see Tom Kench today. But number 4 coming in swiftly, Rakan.
It's not over yet. All right, Tom.
I mean, that is true.
Tom could still end up on SANDBOX. So
I didn't consider that, but you're right.
T1 banning away Olaf now. SANDBOX have to decide what exactly they're going to try to pinch. It's going to be the Yasuo, so they want to take away the option to have the Gragas Yasuo come in mid lane. And now the final ban for T1.
Coach Kim, hard at work with his notebook.
Oh, you see those? You see the earphones they have on?
Yeah,
those are helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're very, very nice. By the way, they have those at Challengers Korea.
Oh,
they're very, very nice.
Okay,
Love them.
Comfortable?
Extremely.
Wow.
Yeah, it feels like clouds on your ears. It's very nice.
That's pretty cool.
Sound quality is beautiful.
Oh,
Renekton, Bando. That's not beautiful.
Your boy Aatrox making his way in.
Well, Aatrox is locked in for T1. What?
I hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah, I'm coming up with it right now. Kiana and Elise. So this is the most mono-red team composition that SANDBOX, I mean, it really just fits them to a T. This team composition basically says, we either win at 10 minutes or we take a random cluster, I can't say that word, cluster mess of a team fight.
Cluster mess.
Wow. I can't use the word that came to my mind.
Okay.
And if we don't win that, then we just lose the game. So they have a lot of wombo combos that they can rely on, but the thing is that their champions are going to fall off of a cliff pretty quickly. against this T1 team comp. And now the other thing is that Aatrox is actually enabled because all of the SANDBOX champions come into him, which means that for a champion that should be able to be kited around or managed very well and have him drop off a cliff after 2 items, he's going to get everything that he wants. Gragas gets everything that he wants. Gragas has both modes available to him. He can go engagey, or he can be defensive and peely with his R, which disrupts a lot of the SANDBOX champions. Mordekaiser stunts their builds and makes things so obnoxious for the SANDBOX roster, and everything's just a nightmare. So,
call it.
Yeah, T1's going to win.
Okay,
T1.
all right. We got our prediction here. Although I don't know if you would call it a prediction.
SANDBOX's team composition would be great in solo queue, but in a competitive game, I mean, this is TOS.
In solo queue, yeah.
This
When you
is
see
a
this in
TOS
solo
comp.
queue, you're like, oh god, not like this, not again. It's been 4 games just like this. Gorilla making his way in here for SANDBOX up against Faker, who, by the way, is going to be piloting that Mordekaiser in the mid lane. Looks like we're ready to go, guys. Let's hop into game number 1 onto Summoner's Rift right now.
All right, we don't have any personal fan cheers, but
Aww.
we had to let it go.
No Lux in this game.
No, yeah.
You know, whenever I play Lux, I play Elementalist Lux, and I become Elsa every time.
I don't even know who Elsa is.
What are you talking about?
Elsa from Atypical?
You never seen Frozen?
I saw Atypical.
You've never seen
And by
Frozen,
the way,
the Disney movie?
Doug is a great guy. Everyone needs a Doug in their life.
What?
Atypical.
No, I never
on
seen that.
Netflix.
You can't make fun of me for not seeing Atypical when you've never seen
Have you
Frozen.
watched any of the new really good shows like You or The Witcher?
I haven't. I want to play. So I have The Witcher 3 downloaded on my computer, but I never played it.
Don't.
What? No, I have to. I want to get like the background because people have the one gripe with The Witcher, which is that the story is a bit like you have to have some idea of what is going on first. It doesn't explain itself that well.
Okay.
So there's like a lot of characters where you're like, who the hell is this new person? But like if you play the game, I think there might be some of the characters that you will know at least what type of character they are. So, and people have said it's an amazing game, so of course I want to play it and try it, but that will have to wait for another day, as today is League of Legends Day. And Fate looking to go up against the one and only legendary Faker, who gets that priority, puts down a ward in the red buff, knows that at least it'd start that solo.
Yeah. Now they know that Unfleek didn't do the Raptor camp. Unlikely that he would just go down and do the golems, so they can basically predict with 100% certainty where Elise is at this point in time. Gragas taking a relatively safe route as well. Faker just constantly shoving in the wave. And again, when you're watching this game, when you're watching this sinful team composition that SANDBOX has molded here, all that you're really paying attention to is, can Elise and Kiana find an insane amount of kills pre-11, pre-12 minutes? Because after that point, everyone starts playing defensive, everyone starts playing ping pong, it becomes very hard to get resources, and these champions, if they're just even with their opponents...
Ooh. I'm going to have to cut you off there,
Yeah.
Faker. He handled that really well. Notice how, if this were the majority of other players, you would just walk backwards and potentially have to flash the cocoon or get caught by it, but instead he walked forward to, use Mordekaiser and his abilities, but also to use the minions to shield his back so that the cocoon could not hit him and it hit the minion first. That's something that you rarely see, but actually a great move by Faker and the main highlight of how he was able to get away from that gank.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, that's going to be a little unfortunate for Unfleek and Fate. Faker also has the teleport on the Mordekaiser, and also I do have to say that Kana is not doing so hot in the CS department right now. He's only at 9, and...
He looked like he was, he was having a lot of trouble underneath even the turret. up against the Rumble, which can be a bit annoying, but he was even failing when the Rumble had already backed off. So perhaps some of those nerves coming in. He looked a little bit nervous when we saw him on camera, actually, right before we did get into the pick ban. So I hope he gets over that and shows us a better Aatrox this time. Another comfort pick for Kana, playing this 3 times in a row, I believe. At least one time before, so it would be a second time at least.
Well, see if anything else exciting is going to happen. Elise going to recall into Boots and picking up the other jungle component item. The wave is actually coming into Teddy. And we're not really getting a lot of action. Gorilla not wanting to do anything yet. So we're just actually having ping pong being played in every single lane. So it's extremely exciting right now.
Yeah, this is my favorite moment. I'm actually a big fan of ping pong.
Yeah?
Yeah, used to play
You know, I was actually just talking with someone earlier about ping pong.
Okay.
And because I believe it's quite popular in Korea.
Yeah, in Asia in general.
Yeah.
Ping pong is it's a big sport out here.
They even try to replicate it here in video games. Minion waves. It's truly an
they love
impressive
it.
feat.
So you know, we are going to see it here, and not only here, but a lot of regions love this style of play. As we're getting a zoom in onto Faker, he does have that the gem, and will be most likely going into that Proto Belt, as the Mordekaiser does. Very curious to see how he does do on the Mordekaiser. Just another pick that can be flexed. As, oh, nice dodge of the grip there. This Faker just going to laugh at that Elise gank. You mentioned SANDBOX. It feels like they know that they have the pressure on them and they have to do something, but nothing's really happening as they're desperately trying to make fights happen. But SKT is saying no.
This is definitely... Oh, Kana.
Okay. He's easily just going to be able to flash away from that one. You know, it looked okay to begin with, but okay. Fate coming in here. Cuz is level 4. He is going to dodge that one as... Okay. Not sure if this is visible on your guys' screen. I certainly hope not. I would have to assume no. We can continue. Okay. There we go.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're getting in there.
It's all right.
Yeah, it's okay. This is fine.
This is all
you know the dog that's sitting in the burning room? Like, yeah, this is fine.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
Computer's going to restart.
Yeah. Windows Monk S.
Oh, man. That would definitely be an E2 moment. If I've ever seen
I mean,
one.
that's the most action we've had all game.
Yeah,
so
it is.
I don't even mind it. Like,
It came at a pretty good time.
Thank you, Windows. Just, providing us with some fun as SANDBOX continue to have a... Gorilla, what are you doing?
And well, okay, so what we're seeing going on here is a pretty good argument against why you don't draft team compositions like this. When you have to account for your opponents making mistakes because of the level of difficulty that your team composition puts on itself, this is a really good argument against it. Now, you could dive deeper and you could move up the ladder a couple of levels and say, well, if the players are manipulating their lanes correctly, then they should be able to set things up, even though that's a higher bar to reach and it's a taller ask. The issue with that, though, then stems from, well, one of your lanes outright can't win, and then another lane, it's still extremely volatile if you do try to manipulate it to be favorable for your jungler, and then you end up whiffing. And so this insurance policy... It's like a savings account or something. I don't even know, where T1 just basically get to say, hey, we don't actually have an obligation to do anything. If we just go even, we're winning.
Yeah.
Which just feels great. They're getting free rolled right now.
Yeah.
So
it's like they have a blue chip stock or something and they're just collecting dividends.
they're I don't even
they don't have to buy anything or sell anything. They just sit back and their money's making money basically.
Yeah.
They don't have to take any actions.
Yeah, their
Just
money
chilling out.
is absolutely making money, and the only reason right now that SANDBOX has any sort of a lead is because of the CS discrepancy and that turret plate up in top lane that Summit has been able to acquire. But I mean, I hate these team compositions, Valdez. They are so sinful and impure.
Look at this, though. Nice bait into the team fight, but that's what Zaya's meant to do. On fleek, struggling, and Curry and Teddy just laugh at him as they dodge everything. And Zaya doing what she's meant to do. Predator on the Kiana coming down here, and SKT are just like, or SKT, wow. I said it really big, too. T1.
Don't worry, I'll talk to Joe for you.
T1, they're just playing it really well. You know, I understand why you're not a big fan of SANDBOX's team comp, but other teams would have trouble making it look this easy, avoiding all of the action. We've seen other teams struggle to be this passive, actually, in the past.
Yeah, we really have.
It kind of does go against the natural instinct of the pro players as well, you know? Like, playing solo queue, playing scrims all the time, you're looking to carry, you're looking to get the kills. But instead, the strategy is just like, no fighting. No, we sit back and we just try to scale, and then we'll win, instead of actually going for the kills.
So my personal belief on why this actually ends up happening is because in solo queue, you can have these types of team compositions, and you can obviously win with them. But the other thing is that inside of solo queue, people can get so tunneled on honing their own gameplay and their own aspects that they fail to entertain how the other pieces of the puzzle fit into it, and what is actually happening elsewhere on the map, and what is causing that, and what byproducts and chain effects end up occurring from there. And so you can end up falling on a lot of false conclusions with what is and isn't good. And if you don't have someone that views this unbiased and goes into it and like, well, doesn't matter that you're doing mistakes, you were set up with failure. There was already something presenting itself to you that was just going to make things difficult. And so I've seen it too many times. Even recently, about 2 days ago, I got to listen in on a scrim being reviewed by a Korean team, and the team composition was absolutely horrendous. And the mistakes that they were saying that were attributing to the loss, no one's pointing out team compositional imbalance or errors as if it's not something that is extremely fundamental and important, and somehow it's okay or it's justifiable to have to solo climb Mount Everest without any gear. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's just perhaps that solo queue mentality, getting tunneled in on trying to say, okay, these individual mistakes or even team mistakes, you know, on a macro sense. But it's it's simpler than that, actually, when it does come down to some of the games, is what you're trying to say. And so Faker here, just hanging out. And yeah, again, we're here at 12 minutes with no kills. So you can continue long story with your long story, if you will.
Here's the thing about this, right? You look at the gold right now, and you see SANDBOX is ahead.
Story's over. We got a kill here. Fate is pretty much dead.
Fate is over. Fate is canceled.
And yeah, he's in the death realm, just waiting for that one. Gonna hand over the first blood to Cuz. Just walking into the river when there's no vision there, and
they can't get any kills.
Yeah, they can't.
Have no items because their champions are sinners and require accelerated gold gain in order to remain relevant and continuously apply pressure to the opponents, because these champions are not overtuned. There's a few overtuned champions in the game. Hold on.
Ooh, let's see if the Rakan survives. Yes, he will. And that
He's tilted.
Come on, Summit. You're better than this.
He's probably tilted. Now, they're going to summon a Rift Herald, but turret plates have been nerfed. And a teleport's coming in, so they won't even actually get everything. They don't have Equalizer anymore. Also, Shelly kind of sucks.
Yeah, she
got nerfed. They just barely got any gold right there. Now, they did force T1 to use their teleport, but they're going to lose an equal amount of gold up in top, so doesn't really matter. In the end, it's a net win for T1 overall. especially when you consider the tempo that's going to be able to get reestablished and just what this means now. Because now Summit, he won't have teleport available for the Dragon that comes up in 2.5 minutes. That's an Infernal Drake. So we'll take another look at this replay. So here we have a Kiana with Dirk and longswords going for some sort of a roam as if she's going to tickle anyone on the map. And
Dirk and longsword. Just the way you said it made it sound so pitiful.
So,
like, what are you doing in the river? Just wait until you get your first item.
we're 14 minutes into the game right now, and T1 are only ahead 700 gold? No. If there was a deep mine like bar on the left-hand side, and you asked it what its chance to win this game was, it would say something like 99%.
Yeah.
This game is so far gone for SANDBOX right now. The only way you could imagine that T1 would probably lose something like this is maybe Faker goes comatose on stage.
Oh, come on.
And even then, I mean, the Mordekaiser passive might proc.
One thing that Mordekaiser is great at, by the way, is getting away and being passive, as he can just turn a 3-on-1 into a 1-on-1. So it's not only good for isolating your enemy, but it's good for isolating yourself and saying, no, you're not going to kill any of us. And even though the Gragas was in the middle there, and we thought maybe he was going to take some damage, that was not the case.
Whoop.
As, okay, Curry, maybe a little bit of a rookie roam mistake there. Looks like he was trying to kill the control ward in the enemy jungle. Generally not a good idea, but he thought, hey, I'm Rakan, I can jump over the wall. But he does just get caught there.
And now at this point in the game, Infernal's coming up in 45 seconds. And, you know, something that, you know, I wanted to say this to you, and you'll be able to relate to it. The other thing about Mordekaiser in this team comp is we're going to see Rakan get bopped right here. Yeah, there's the clown bop. So Gorilla just bops him really quick. But Mordekaiser does this really interesting thing where he demands Quicksilver Sashes on the enemy team. And when you're an enemy team composition that is reliant on accelerating, staying ahead, trying to have base level advantages, etc., stunting your build by being demanded to build an item that's only effective against his R mostly isn't a very good feeling. So he stifles the enemy team comp, and Mordekaiser by himself is sort of on par with what the enemy team is trying to do. He just does it better. He fights and brawls better than their champions. And he comes with a control-y aspect.
Teddy trying to go one-on-one here as, Bullet Time going to come out there and tickle Teddy as he is going out on the way. Was looking for the one-on-one, but the second that Gorilla came in, he was immediately able to disengage. Still has flash and heal, totally fine. And yeah, I mean, that's a concept that we've talked about a lot, especially when Skarner was meta. We used to talk about how, hey, you know, he's going to force them to get QSSs even if, you know, the team isn't doing so well. As, okay, Infernal Drake is going to be taken. Notice the big disengage attempt here by T1 as the Gragas is going to go down, but Faker looking to turn it here. Can he get out of this one? As he does have the flash and will get away, so the Infernal will be traded for the 1 kill. Not half bad for the scaling comp of T1, as we are also going to be moving on to that Mountain Rift.
And T1 are just, they're rolling so well right now on Dragons. They got arguably the best first Drake that you could ask for their team comp, which is the Cloud. So you have the Death Realm up more often, you have the Gragas cast up more often, World Ender. You get everything online and activated. Because Infernal early, 4% when you have 70 AD, it doesn't do anything.
No,
you don't get to be a math genius there. So then they roll Infernal, and now they're rolling Mountain Dragon against a all-in dive comp, which is probably the best dragon to build because they're already building resistances. Mordekaiser's going to get Zhonya's. He already has Merc Treads. Aatrox already has Merc Treads. Aatrox is going to eventually get Guardian Angel.
Gragas has Merc Treads.
Gragas has, I mean,
everyone
has
is cloth armor.
building resistances, and so this is a pretty unfortunate situation. If you're SANDBOX, you feel really bad right now.
Yeah, but again, it's a situation that they did get themselves into from the draft. You do have to be careful about going for these kinds of team comps, just in case the RNG also does go against you. I mean, there's a chance that SANDBOX gets ahead early by, let's say, 2,000 golds. And even then, it's hard to say,
I mean,
hey, they're looking real good.
We've seen stuff like that. We saw SKT, or, I mean, yeah, from a summer game. But more recently, we've seen T1 against Gen G.
I just realized what happened because I didn't even notice.
We saw T1.
It was so natural.
Against Gen G.
Yeah.
And T1 had one of the worst early games I've seen in 2019.
Yeah, I'm going to have to cut you off. Their big equalizer as Summit looking to get turned upon the bullet time. Not really doing much, and that disengaged cast from Cuz was massive, and that is an easy turnaround for them afterwards. 2 free kills as they pick that one up. The bullet time gets interrupted, and they also get a big pick off of that one. The Nautilus not in a great spot either, so they pick up the 2, plus Shirley, plus a bunch of gold, and T1 are just sailing on into this mid game.
I mean, the game is over, Valdez. It really is. It's a 1,000 gold lead, and so some people probably think I'm being a bit hyperbolic here, but no. There is no way that these champions are going to be able to beat T1s at this point of the game. They're too gimped. The fact that they're so dependent on each other and how Mordekaiser and Gragas just ruin their positioning, their approach, everything. Kiana, I mean, honestly, what is she doing right now? What is she doing? I don't know. I don't think she knows.
I was trying to come up with something. She's farming.
Yeah, she's farming.
She's gonna get that second item real quick.
Yeah.
The Duskblade's coming in. She's gonna and then she's gonna be up against double Zhonya's actually, as both Gragas and Mordekaiser should be building towards that. We'll see when exactly they do go for it. Looks like they both have gone for Arm Guard to start, but then 2 daggers actually built here on the Mordekaiser. Kind of interesting. We'll have to see what that does eventually build into.
Well, likely just going to be Nashor's Tooth, who will end up getting Stinger and then Fiendish Codex. And right now we're back in a bit of a lull state. So I just wanted to let you know that within the next 4 days, you need to watch the previous episodes of Star Wars. So that you're able to...
Okay, you're letting me know?
Yeah, I'm letting you know so that you can join
Straighten
us.
me up?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
We're going to go watch it at ULSAN.
ULSAN?
Yeah, that's the best theater.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's good. Yeah. Okay, we'll see if I do end up doing that. You know, I'm busy nowadays. I got another cast.
World of Warcraft.
I got another cast tomorrow. I gotta level up my my other LoL account.
Oh, you have a new one?
Leveling it up. Yeah.
Really?
My own, yeah. It's level 24 right now.
Ooh.
Yeah. Almost ready for ranked.
I am, it takes a while to level that.
Yeah, it does.
It really
you need
does.
the boost.
You absolutely do. And you can play it a PC bong to get the bonus there, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Which saves a lot of time.
Well, we do have Gorilla, who's in a lot of trouble, trying to delay here with that stopwatch, kind of get away. He is going to flash over that rock made by the Mountain Rift as the cask is going to come in, and that should be a dead Gorilla. Oh, going in, Kana doesn't give a damn. He went so head first into that one. Not sure about the end result, but he at least got the kill on the Nautilus. So maybe a little bit too fiery there.
Trading kills is definitely good if you're the scaling team composition. So definitely not bad by any means. This dragon needs to get captured.
Ooh, Cuz in a little bit of trouble or rather that was Kuri is able to get out of there.
Okay.
And they get the dragon, and now Faker doing that burst damage onto On Fleek. He's not that tanky. And again, T1 able to disengage after getting it. SANDBOX trying to make a big push into the mid lane, but there's really not that many minions here. One barrel should do the trick and push them away for now.
And this was a really unfortunate fight now for SANDBOX. They're not going to have any summoners for the next one. They just expended a lot of resources trying to make stuff happen. And T1, they are sitting on a lot of gold. So once they end up recalling on all of their champions, obviously major core items are coming in. Gragas almost at his Zanya's. We'll take a look at how this all actually transpired here, as Faker canceled everything there with the Death Realm. He brought Gorilla into it. And at this point, it would have been completely fine to just back off, get the Mountain Dragon, and don't try to keep forcing the issue. But they went a little bit ham. And honestly, it is a mistake by Kana to go for that. And trades the 1-for-1. In a vacuum, it's still okay to trade kills, like I mentioned, about the scaling team compositions. But using his flash to do so, that's not as good.
I suppose at the end of the day, he knew basically that Gorilla had no other escapes. You know, stopwatch was down, flash was down. He had already used his dredge line into the wall. So he's like, okay, I can 100% get this kill. Maybe I can follow up, or maybe I can force some ultimates away. But I do agree, you know, having a Aatrox that's pretty nicely fed and has flash and ready to go for the next Mountain team fight on their terms probably would have been better. As, yeah. SANDBOX still struggling. You were talking about how it does feel bad when you get into this situation after drafting this kind of composition. And yeah, you know, honestly, it's hard to say there's a real time where it feels good unless you get a massive lead early on, because even when you're like 2,000 gold ahead, you're still kind of feeling antsy, like, oh, you know, when are we going to push? How are we going to win this game? We got to do it quick. You know, the pressure's really on them, and the responsibility is something we've talked about a lot for certain teams to end games compared to other teams who can kind of just sit back.
Yeah, and that's the biggest question, and why I've been such a critic, I guess, throughout the entire year. I mean, now we're in 2020, so get ready for this one, too.
Boy.
So
we just started.
We just started this year in regards to the drafting. But the responsibility is the best word to use, because when you're playing against professional players, things are a lot different. You do have less options than you otherwise would inside of a solo queue game. And I mean, you're just seeing how much damage Kiana's ultimate does. It doesn't...
Well, it's just desperation, you know? At this point, it's like, please, let's start a fight. Please, let's do something with our engaged composition. Gorilla, get in there. And then the dredge line misses, and Fate's like a bit tilted, so he goes in and tries to force it. But there's a blasting plant right there, and it's against, I think it was Rakan and Gragas, or Gragas and Aatrox. These champions have great disengage. And they're never really going to be scared of that as long as they see you coming.
Yeah, and things are just going to keep getting worse from this point forward. Another Mountain Dragon coming up in a minute and a half. T1 likely going to be the ones that end up getting that as well. And interestingly, it looks like Kana is actually going to go into Sterax as his next item. I would have honestly expected just to get a Guardian Angel, especially because there's 1.5 assassins kind of on the side of SANDBOX, and Guardian Angel would just be so good at disrupting what they're trying to achieve. You'd also get the super slight amplification via the Mountain Dragons. And then once you also have the Mountain Soul, which I would expect T1 to get, it would be a little scary.
Well, I think this is where SANDBOX are going to make their stand. You mentioned the Mountain Soul, and I don't think SANDBOX can afford to lose that one or give it up to T1. At this point, they're already kind of in the hole, and that would be essentially the nail in the coffin. As TP coming in here from Faker, actually, Kana doesn't have his yet. That is going to scare SANDBOX all the way back here. So they made a big, confident push forward for Vision, and in the span of about 15 seconds, all of that Vision is gone. They're attempting to come forward now as a team and really make something of this. As I mentioned, it's a last stand here for SANDBOX.
They're all in, and it's a very unfortunate situation. Remember, Gragas has both modes. He can peel or he can engage if there's a misstep. And Faker just sort of waiting.
All right, another engage here. Bullet time is going to be pretty good. Does a lot of damage here to Kana, actually. Big Kiana ultimate. There's that engage cask immediately after. Curry trying to follow it up. Doesn't do the greatest job, as Teddy just trying to do that damage. Is able to Featherstorm away. Faker trading 1-for-1. As Cuz perhaps went a little bit too far forward. The dredge line is going to get him on the backside, and here comes Misfortune as Kana looks to rejoin the fight with his TP. About to get it up, and he's got that home guard, gonna dodge the slow, and he's got the World Ender too. He's looking for blood. He's gonna get that one kill onto Gorilla. Yeah, he's looking for that moment. Ooh.
Not actually gonna use it, yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna hold on to it this time. Oh. And honestly, you know, they should be able to get this, although...
delete. Oh!
No, you got to be careful. Don't get it too low. Oh, here we go. A TP's coming in. Okay. Aatrox's going to go down. Teddy is going to trade, but he's dead. As Elise able to Zanya's and SANDBOX have held on and actually picked up the Mountain Drake somehow, some way.
So this was, I mean, you have to give credit to SANDBOX for winning this, but let's take a look at this. So for some reason, Faker, he lands the death grip, but then he goes forward and kind of joins him, which was so bizarre. So you gave Kiana what she wanted, but then other teammates couldn't enter the fight because of the way that they were concave. So I thought they were just going to start the Dragon and allow Faker to keep zoning as Mordekaiser with the Death Realm safety that he was going to have available to him. But they chose to actually run into the MF Rumble. And I talked about in the last cast with you, defensive Rumble ultimates are very different and more difficult to play around than offensive Rumble ultimates. And so, I mean, they gave everything that SANDBOX could have wanted to have the highest % chance to win that fight, and T1 ended up just botching that. That was something else. That was
out of this world, perhaps.
I am feeling a little queasy right now. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's definitely not the way that T1 would have liked to feel after that team fight, as just felt a little bit forced. You know, Faker kind of going head first, and his rookie younger brother Kana joining him in. The not great idea, but either way, I mean, T1 are still in a commanding position right now. They're still ahead in gold, about 2,000. It's not that much, but it's great for their composition. And now, essentially, what they can do is try to lock it down again and wait 3 minutes. They could try to force a Baron, but I'm not sure that they have any real reason to force it again, especially after trying to force the last team fight. I think they'll even have more of a prerogative to just say, oh, no, let's take it easy, guys.
Let SANDBOX, I mean, if you're a T1 fan right now, what you want to happen is you want to wait until Mountain Soul comes up, and then you want to do everything in your power to start the Mountain Soul, and then Faker, he needs to locate the R key on his keyboard on the enemy jungle so that you get the Mountain Soul.
I don't know, you're asking for a bit much there.
Invalidates the entire enemy team composition with the added resistances and the shield that you end up getting. That's a really weird thing.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a bit of passivity. So what do you think would happen if that happens and then T1 gets wiped, but they got the Mountain Soul, and then SANDBOX get Baron and they come back in gold? Are they still going to lose?
Yeah, they would still lose. Mountain Souls, I mean, Souls are just, well, so normally Mountain and Cloud Soul do suck, at least in current, the way that they currently stand. But against team compositions like what SANDBOX has, very aggressive, very reliant on winning the fight in a burst, doesn't really have a lot of sustain value, Mountain Soul ends up being effective. But against magey kind of team compositions or long range or sustain-based ones with lots of healing, etc., Mountain isn't necessarily the best. They can try to poke and prod you and eventually wither it down and then try to win a team fight. Yeah. Typically, it's Ocean and Infernal that really just makes you hate your life. So
absolutely,
those are not in this game. And so 1.5 minutes until the next one ends up coming up. All that T1 need to do is just keep playing ping pong with the waves, because I'm not even going to bring up the F word. It makes a lot of people angry.
Yeah, no, I don't want you to say that on broadcast either. Definitely not safe for this one.
Yeah. So just gonna wait a little bit and do everything that you can to just get that dragon. Just Death Realm Elise and smite the dragon.
Wait, can you say I didn't
They're
quite
not robots,
hear that. Maybe you
Valdez. They're not robots.
Maybe you could repeat that. It's a little bit difficult for me to understand what you're saying.
50 seconds.
Looks like they really want to break this bottom tier 2. Doesn't really feel necessary, but Faker is pushing on in, making a big deal of it. Really wants to poke onto Fate here, but he's got a spider behind him. Faker is going to back away. He has teleport, keep in mind. He could go for some kind of teleport flank, but a lot of the wards right now are being cleared out in the jungle. of SANDBOX, and I feel like that's really important, especially against double teleport Mordekaiser and Aatrox. That is just something you never want to deal with. Teleport flanks as SANDBOX's composition.
Oh!
Okay, Faker is getting in there. He's going to be forced to use that Death Realm as he went forward. He's trying to fight here onto Gorilla. Gorilla getting extremely low. Is going to be able to take him, and here comes Aatrox. Kana gonna miss everything, actually. Not able to land a single thing. A huge equalizer right onto Teddy, and there's the bullet time, but Faker able to do the work by himself. The rest of his team in a lot of trouble on fleek. Perfect timing on the Zhonya's, and somehow, some way, T1 are losing this fight as, oh man, it's only Curry left available, and another Mountain Drake is gonna go the way of SANDBOX, as well as what should be an ace here. Down goes the Rakan, and that is 5 kills and the Dragon to SANDBOX.
And so SANDBOX now, I mean, they're getting more and more Drakes, and so if they can actually get to 4, I mean, just take a look at how this actually starts off and follow along. Death Realm onto Gorilla, okay? They can, the rest of the members, everyone can go to Mountain right now. Everyone can just go. Kana decides, though, it's Leroy Jenkins' time. He feels compelled by some cosmic essence in order to try to dive the 4. The other 3 funnel up perfectly for bullet time. I don't know what you want me to say, Valdez.
I mean, the Kana flank,
Caster Curse is...
could definitely, absolutely have been much better executed. I mean, he went in there. He didn't have his third Q prepped. He just it's like he had the blinders on, and he's like, I'm going to kill them all. Straight into the Kiana, who just says no, obviously. Kana, by the way, has Flash. Didn't use it. Just died. So that was a huge mis-execution. I mean, 5v4 with the Aatrox flanking feels pretty good. Obviously, it's not necessary. I get what you're saying. They could have easily backed away. But I understand in the moment there, Kana's like, I'm going to get you now, and then just falls flat on his face. After Faker, again, questionably, kind of just face checks in there and gets forced to use the Death Realm at an inopportune time. And yeah, he kills the Nautilus, but all the damage is left available.
So this happened in the T1 Gen G series, where the players seem to fundamentally misunderstand what is of the utmost importance inside of the game and what it is that they should be doing. Because I imagine that one of the analogies I like to use in coaching is that if you hypothetically... well, actually, hold on. We got a dive going on.
Yeah, that is going to be the feathers coming out here as Gorilla going to get real in their big bullet time with the equalizer coming from the side here, catching him off guard. A double stun with the Kiana ultimate. Faker forced to get in there, but look at this MF now with a huge shield and is just pushing down the mid lane. SANDBOX might actually win this game.
They're going to win, yeah.
Against the flow of the entire game, T1 have somehow thrown this like a beach ball back into the court of SANDBOX as they are pushing to end this one.
They're definitely going to just crack the next. This is one of the biggest throw/upsets I think I've cast.
I would have to agree. This game was absolutely not supposed to go this way. SANDBOX, though, able to keep their cool.